wat op Outline? Ja.
Yeah, I guess.
Oké, schakelen we door. It's all yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. What an exciting day. I mean, it's really cool. I knew that the stage was huge, but I never thought that it would look so little in front of it. But anyway, let me introduce myself. I'm Mostafa. I'm the Director of Education at Better Brains. So I work with a super talented team to provide an exceptional educational experience on Vue School, Mastering Next, Mastering Pinia, and more to come. Also, I'm a VueJS educator, so I was the lead instructor for the VueJS Masterclass 2024 edition. It's a flagship course, like 12 or 13 hours course, and it's all about how to use Vue.js to create a real-world application. It's on Vue School. Check it out if you have time. And also, out there in the wild, I'm a full-stack developer. And for the majority of the projects that I work on, I use a single framework. I guess you all know what it is. It is the legend, the Next.js framework. And it's really cool, right? So you can do a lot of things with it without having to worry about connecting the front end with the back end, without having to worry about a lot of stuff. Nitro is there to help you, and it just works, and developer experience is simply perfect. And for some other projects with unique requirements, I find myself leaning towards my other favorite stack, which is Laravel for the back end and Vue.js, always Vue.js for the front end. And this is exactly what I'm going to talk about today, which is Vue.js beyond the front end, and we are going to discover how to use Vue.js with Laravel using Intertia.js. But before we talk about the Intertia.js story, let's start about how it all started with Vue.js and Laravel. And in my opinion, it started with this tweet by Taylor Otwell, who is the creator of Laravel. He was saying, current React learning status overwhelmed. Who knows what he's talking about? Like, React is super easy and simple. But anyway, he continues, learning Vue.js because it looks easy and has a pretty website. And ever since, a collaboration started. And it's between Avenue and Taylor and the Vue.js ecosystem and the Laravel ecosystem as well. A lot of help or a lot of effort has been into action so that both of them can be used together easily and for everyone to utilize the benefit of the other framework. But there is an important question. Why would you ever use Laravel with Vue? I mean, for a front-end developer or a Vue.js developer, it kind of doesn't make sense a lot when you think about you have to create or you have to learn a new programming language, like PHP, for example, especially PHP, if you want to have a backend for your application. So you must have a very good reason to learn PHP or to learn Laravel in general, so that you can use it. So, the next slide. Actually, I should go to the next slide now. But anyway, there are many reasons for you to learn Laravel, or for you to try to learn PHP so that you can use Laravel for the backend. And I was planning, yeah, here you go. Anyway, so those are the reasons. Those are my reasons that I think for those specific projects with unique requirements that I mentioned at the beginning, I need to use Laravel because of this. You gain access to a collection of a very well-maintained first-party solutions for most of the problems that you will encounter or the challenges that you're going to have when you are building your web application. So, for example, Laravel Sanctum. It is a package, a first-party package developed by the Laravel core team, and it allows you to easily get or create some API to authenticate your users. And you can consume those APIs easily from your web application or from your mobile application, whatever you want. Also, there is Socialite. And this also related to authentication, so you can allow your users to log in using GitHub, GitLab, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. It's totally up to you because everything is integrated already, just with few minutes spent on that and you have it working. Also, Laravel Cashier makes it super simple to have an e-commerce website, to have any paywalled content on your application, and it is quite simple to use as well. You have integration with Stripe and Paddle, and a lot of cool stuff. Also, Laravel Reverb. You have a real smooth integration, and with WebSockets, you can have real-time applications in sync with your databases. And by the way, we have a course on that on Vue School called Real-Time Data with Laravel Reverb and Vue.js. It's by Daniel Kelly, and it's really cool. Check it out. And above all of this, like all of these are very good reasons, and there are many more, by the way, that are not on the screen right here, but my favorite part of this is the starter kit for Vue in Laravel. Has anyone tried that? Can I see some hands? Okay, there are a few of you tried that, so I think you're going to be impressed. What you see right here is the starting point. It's like, I want to start a project, and bam, you have that. It just takes few seconds to run a command, and that command is going to give you the UI with some authentication things that you would have spent hours putting it all together and making it work. So the user can register, create an account, they have a dashboard already, and they have a profile that they can change anything in it. They have a password reset system where they receive a unique link to their email, and they reset the password just like that, and this is just the starting point. And I feel, or all the time, this is my most compelling part about Laravel, which is the starter kit. And recently, it's using Tailwind with Shatsy and Vue. What about Shatsy and Vue? Have anyone tried that? Awesome, yeah. So a lot of us tried that. It's really cool, and you can customize the components. You have it in your code base. Just do whatever you want with it. So there are many benefits that would be compelling for you to go into the Laravel world and leverage its backend. And all of this without needing a deep PHP expertise. I mean, you would think that you need to be an expert in PHP so that you need Laravel, but this is not true. I actually believe if you're already a developer, you just need few hours to go through the documentation of getting started and how to get started with Laravel, and bam, you're there. You can get started with Laravel, and anything else needed in your project, you're going to learn it progressively. Like, as you build your application, you're going to learn it, check out the documentation, and that's it. You don't need anything else. So, yeah, you don't have to be a PHP expert. Actually, in Laravel, it has its own syntax. It feels like it has its own syntax. So almost forget that you're actually writing PHP. So let's get to how to use Laravel with Vue. There are different techniques, and the first option is for Laravel Blade hosting the whole Vue instance. And in this technique, what we do is basically we use Laravel Blade, which is the templating engine for Laravel. And in this one, in the HTML portion of this file, we just add a div to mount our Vue application with a script leading to the Vue instance. And this feels like as if it's you're creating a Vue application like a standalone Vue application, but it's housed inside a Laravel application. So that's basically what it is. And what happens is that as soon as this Blade file renders in the browser, then the browser is going to use your Laravel instance. So use your Vue instance. So Vue serves here as the core application, and you can communicate with the back end only with APIs. So you need to create APIs in the Laravel side of things, and then communicate between the two using APIs. And of course, Vue Router managing client-side navigation, because this is a single-page application, and it's a single Blade file housing this Vue instance. The second technique is very similar to the first one. Actually, it's exactly the same, but you can decouple them completely. So you can host your Vue instance or your Vue application separately from your Laravel backend. But the communication still goes with APIs, and Vue Router still manages client-side navigation. Option number 3, we're just taking out Vue, and we're adding Nuxt.js, which is a very good option, and a lot of people are using that already. And it's really super efficient. What happens is that you have your Nuxt application decoupled from the Laravel backend. You create your APIs on the Laravel backend, and you start communicating with APIs. And in this approach, Nuxt handles client and server-side as well, navigation, because Nuxt provides us with universal rendering mode, and that's going to make everything easy for us when it comes to server-side rendering. So this option as well we went for in the Laravel Backends for VueJS 3 course by Daniel Kelly. This is a very good course, 3 hours course, where we do exactly what I just explained, including setting up authentication APIs and all of this. So check it out as well. Option number 4 is Laravel Blade hosting Vue single file components. And this is the option that made sense for majority of Laravel developers, not VueJS developers, because basically you have a Laravel application, and whenever you want something with the JavaScript Vue dynamic magic, you just add the component inside your Blade templates. So if you have maybe a Blade template for the user profile, and you only want the dashboard to be dynamic with JavaScript and all of this magic, you just add the Vue component in there. And in this approach, the Laravel serves as the core application, and the data are passed from the Laravel backend directly to your Vue components using props. So in this approach, we're not creating APIs. You don't have to. You can, but you don't have to. And you keep managing the server-side routing with Laravel. So those are the 4 options that people has been using, and it's good. Like, people use that in production, and it is really good. But there are some challenges come with them. Well, Vue navigation overhead, if you are not very familiar with Vue Router, if you're not a Vue developer, or if you're used to Nuxt doing it for you, like making your life easy. You don't have to worry about that, just creating a few files here and there. Unless you use third-party package, which is the amazing one by Eduardo, the unplugin Vue Router. Without that, you would have to actually do Vue Router navigation and setup and all of this by yourself. Giving up Laravel routing and middleware, so you give up the features that you're actually using Laravel for, like route group middlewares and all of these things. So you would want something smoother, but what you get is that you're actually giving up a lot of things for the sake of just keeping Vue Router to do everything for you. Laravel APIs for Vue. So in most of the options that we discussed, you have to create APIs. And if you're a VueJS developer, you're not going to feel thrilled about creating APIs in PHP. That's what I assume. Also, server-side rendering complexity. It becomes very complex in some of the options I mentioned to have server-side rendering. So yeah, that will be a problem. Also, global components bloat in some of the options that we discussed. It is challenging for us to maintain performance because we are going to have to register globally most of the components or the Vue components that we have in the application. So yeah, it brought a lot of challenges and a lot of problems. So I myself didn't find, I would never sacrifice the user performance for the developer experience. This is just me. I just prioritized the user experience first. So for me, as a Vue.js developer, why would I have to go through all of these challenges if I have another tool that can do me the back end? I would just think, OK, well, yeah, Laravel gives me some good, quick solutions. They are well-maintained. They are super cool. But yeah, I have to deal with all of this and that. So I'd rather build them from scratch myself. So you would think a lot of thoughts. So I want to use Vue.js for my front end. I want to take full advantages of the Laravel features or the first-party solutions that you just showed on the screen. I want to build a solid single-page application, and if I want to, I can have server-side rendering as well. But what I don't want is that I don't want to have to build APIs in Laravel so that I can use Laravel and get benefits that you just mentioned. So this is where Intertia steps in and change it all. Intertia who? Well, rest assured, it's not another front-end framework. It is something completely different. It is called the modern monolith. And recently, it became the first-party official JavaScript and Laravel library. Before that, it was a third-party thing, but now it was totally and 100% maintained by the Laravel core team. And what it does is that it serves as a smart approach for building single-page applications for Laravel and other front-end frameworks. So it doesn't only work with Vue.js. You can use Vue, React, Svelte, and still keep the features of Laravel server-side routing and controllers and all of these cool things. And if you're not familiar about them, I promise you just spending a few hours, that will be more than enough to get you started. It's designed for Laravel, Ruby on Rails, and Django developers. And here is an example right on the top of how we can do Laravel Vue collaboration without having to build APIs. We would have this user's controller on the top, and what it does is that it has an index method, and here we are fetching the active users ordered by name, and we are getting the ID and the name and the email only. And then we are returning, we're not returning JSON, we're not returning anything, we're just returning inertia with the render method, defining in the first argument the name of the component that should render when the page is visited. So we're talking here that the user's component is going to render, and then we are passing the data that this user's component should receive. And on the front end, in the Vue side of things, what we do is that we just accept it as a prop, like we usually do, and inside the template, we just use the data. So it feels, for Vue.js developers, so easy. You're just receiving any data you want as a prop directed to the page component responsible of rendering this page. But it's kind of crazy. We're not using APIs. How does it work? It's a PHP, it's JavaScript, so it's backend, frontend. You need to have APIs. I don't know. It's just complicated, and it doesn't make sense. So how does it do it? How can Inertia achieve this with such different things, different programming language completely? Well, let's break down the flow. In the initial visit, the request goes back to the server, which is, in our case, it is Laravel on the backend. And then Laravel responds with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and all of the files needed. And inside the HTML, if we take a look, we're going to see something unique here, which is the data page attribute on the div, where we mount our Vue application. This data page right here is basically saying which component that it should render, which component the Vue application should render, and also the props or the data that you passed to this component. Then what happens is that this is sent back to the browser. Inertia does its magic with Vue.js so that it replaces the page or it adds the missing data that it got from this request. So this is on the initial visit. This is the cycle of how the initial visit goes. So about client-side navigation, it doesn't, like for Laravel, if you're using Blade, it will cause a full page reload. But in this case, it doesn't cause a full page reload. It will be a client-side navigation, the smooth one for single-page applications that we are used to. The request goes to the server, but this time it has different things. First of all, it's an XHR request with headers X inertia set to true. Once the server sees that, Inertia says, hey, I know that guy. I know this request, and I know how to deal with it. And then it responds this time with JSON. It doesn't respond with HTML anymore. This is a client-side navigation with this header, so I know how to respond. It's JSON, and inside the JSON, it's going to have the data it needs. And then it replaces the data dynamically in the page without doing a full page reload, which is very similar. Like, we know how this process works in Nuxt, so we're not strangers to receiving only the portions we need updating, instead of just doing a hard refresh and reloading the entire page. And in our case, for client-side navigation in Inertia, we're not using router link, we're not using anchor tags. We are using a special component that we import from Inertia, which is called link. So it's a lightweight wrapper around the standard anchor tag, and it intercepts the click events, does the magic that we just mentioned, which is knows that this is an Inertia client-side request, so it sends only JSON data for the data needed updated. So we have an SPA haven here, which connects the Vue frontend with our Laravel backend. You get to use Vue components with Laravel server-side routing, and no need for Laravel APIs. You don't have to create those anymore. It just works smoothly as one entity. So it's a smooth sailing for Laravel developers and also for Vue developers. For routing, you don't need Vue router to handle client-side routing anymore. All of that is done by Laravel routing, and you are using Inertia render. Like we saw, we specify the name of the component, and then we pass the data we want passing to the front end. And also, in this case, in this example, the first one is the courses component. So this is going to render the courses.vue component inside resources JavaScript pages directory. As for authentication, you get to keep what Laravel has, which is it has already by default support for authentication, and you can expand on that using the packages that we mentioned at the beginning, like Sanctum and Socialite and any other package that you want to have in your application. Also, server-side rendering. This is possible thanks to Inertia. You get to have that, and you get to have happy search engine crawlers. Sharing data as well. So this is a different concept here, because sharing data is different. When we use VueJS, we use Pinia for sharing data and state management. But when we're using Inertia, there is no need for that. We have this share method right here provided by Inertia, and we can do it synchronously or asynchronously. So here, we're providing the app name, and it is app name in the config. So whatever it is going to reflect on all of the pages. Every single page is going to receive that the app name is this name inside config app name. Or we can do it async, which is only when it's needed by passing the second argument as a callback. Accessing shared data on the front end is super simple. We use this use page composable imported from Intertia. We can wrap it inside a composable, a Vue composable, or you can use it directly in your component. It depends on the use case, but here in this example, we are housing it inside a composable. So, and then you just use it like that. You just initialize the composable, get what you want from it. We're getting the shopping cart here, for example, as a shared data, and then use it inside your Vue components. And also for SEO, you get the head component. This is a special component that you can have any tags inside. As for the link component, there are different use cases here, and they can feel a little bit strange. But right here, you have the as, where you can control how this link is going to render as in HTML. In this case, we are using it as a button, so it's going to be a button. And also, you can define the method. So what does this do? Like, it's a button, and actually, it makes a post request to the logout. Like, let me go back. The post request goes to the /logout endpoint. So it can be whatever you want to be with whatever request type you want it to be. Also, you can attach some data, which is pretty cool. And you can attach headers as well to your request. And for the forms, it's very simple as well, because you have this use form helper from Intertia as well. And it gets rid of all of the boilerplate you have to set up to have forms. And like you see here, we import the use form composable from Intertia. And then we say that we want an email property inside this form with two ways binding, and that's it. You have the form. And what comes with it is what really makes it special. It supports get, post, put, patch, and delete as well, like you see here. So this is how you control which type this form should be. And also, if there are any validation, you're going to have them automatically added to the form errors property, and then inside the property name of whatever the field that you want to check on. And finally, it can track the form's processing state, so whether it's processed or it's still processing. Also, we have remembering state. So let's say that the user filled some data in the form and moved to another page. When they come back, the form stays with the same data that they left. And when using Intertia with Laravel, you get CSRF protection by default. And when making Intertia requests that includes files, Intertia automatically detects that you have files, that you're making this request in this form with files, and it will make the request, change it into form data object. The form helper also provides easy access to the current upload progress, which is a very cool feature if you're uploading a file. And it also supports partial reloads. So let's say in the next slide, here we have an example where you want users to click on a specific link. Let's say you're going to render this as a button that is going to sort the courses, or it's going to fetch the courses, only the free ones from the database. So what we do here is that we fetch this, like the link is targeting this endpoint, and what happens is that we're only specifying by this only prop that we want to reload the courses portion of data inside the page. So with that, Intertia, Vue, and Laravel work smoothly together so that you can have an efficient and reliable backend with all of the cool features and first-party packages that we discussed. All of this very smoothly and easy. So you can have your server-driven single-page applications. It still have more features like polling, prefetching, deferred props, infinite scrolling, lazy loading, and all of this comes with Intertia version 2, which is new, but now is stable, and you can safely use it in production. And by default, when you start with the starter kit for the Vue starter kit, you have it already. Like, you're just going to have Intertia with the latest version, which is version 2. But this is not only the only way to use VueJS with Laravel. You can also explore Splayed and hybridly, but those are, in my opinion, are not yet production ready, but they're worth exploring. But this is not the final thing. Crazy stuff are ahead. Do you see that? Where's the script tag? Yeah, I think it's cool, right? Yeah, well, anyway, it's going to make it easier to have Laravel backends because the idea of it's created by Aaron Francis, and I heard him talking that it actually was inspired by how easy Nuxt do it and how amazing Nuxt is. So he thought about that. Why won't we actually have this for people who want to use the backend as Laravel? And it's called Laravel Fusion. Explore that. It's not yet ready for production, but feel free to check out Fusion PHP on GitHub, but it's really cool. I think it's going to make a lot of changes because when you hear him talking, he's literally trying to make front-end developers don't have to interact with Laravel controllers and all of these things. Like that's the vision. Eventually, you won't have to deal with that, and you're just going to do everything here in the Vue component. So that's it. But before I go, I just want to send you, or to give you a reminder, that Mastering Next is going to have a new edition. It's the 2025 edition. It is by the amazing Michael Thiessen. It's called Full Stack Unleashed. Scan the QR code or visit masteringnext.com/2025. It's going to be awesome, full stack stuff with AI and a lot of cool things. And also, you can invest in BetterBrains, which is a very cool thing. BetterBrains is the company behind Vue School, Nux certification, VueForge, and a lot of other cool products. So you can start investing in BetterBrains and help us reach more people, or reach more goals. And we're also sponsoring a lot of events for the community and VueJS ecosystem. So if you want to find out more about that, here are the links. And finally, please visit us at the booth. We're going to be happy to meet all of you. We have a lot of swags, so grab some. I'll post all of the slides here on my social media accounts. And thank you all. Go build something good with Vue and Laravel.